John, we want to welcome you to Detroit Public Television. It is so good to have you here. You know, you are an expert on political polling. So what's in people's minds, what's in their hearts. So why is this the United States of anxiety, especially for young people, for teens?
Yes, thanks for having me. For 20 years, I've essentially been doing the same job, which is I spend a lot of the summer and a good part of the school year, because I'm associated, I'm the polling director at the Institute of Politics at Harvard. We focus on young Americans. And what I've noticed the last 2 or 3, 4 years is before I can have a conversation about politics, I say, what's it like to be a young person today? What are the biggest challenges in your community? And over the last year, 2 years, 3 years, the mood has been dark and sad and urgent, which is concerned about school shootings. I'm concerned about opioids. I'm concerned about my best friend taking their life. I'm concerned about my best friend who's in a coma because of opioids. In trying to make sense of those very real, very personal problems in an already kind of fraught environment, dealing with all the other challenges that teenagers and 20-something-year-olds already have to deal with. So what I found was, before I could have a conversation about the economy, healthcare, education, we needed to give voice to the very real fears that are essentially uniting, I think, a generation of Americans.
And you touched on this, you think about the times we live in. They're fraught times. We are in such a highly polarized nation, highly polarized world. There's technology that has invaded every corner of the lives of these young people. How does that impact mental wellness and also thoughts of suicide?
Well, technology certainly is not helpful. It can be helpful in some ways, but in the ways that in which it's not helpful is, according to one of our recent surveys at the Institute of Politics at Harvard, the average young person gets 8, I think maybe up to 12 different incoming alerts or messages just on their phone about the state of the world. And again, without, in many cases, a proper kind of civics grounding and education, it's difficult to make sense of everything. And when we have, without being partisan, but we have concerns about the climate, concerns about do we continue or not continue with ACA and what that means for mental health, you know, when people are becoming fired and impeachment and corruption, these are concerns from any side of the aisle that young people have a hard time kind of dealing with. And when I asked a young person, what don't we understand as kind of older Americans, what she said to me, she was a college student, she said, the way in which you think about taxes and your finances, that's the way we think about living and dying every single day.
So bottom line in our last minute, what's the to-do for schools and for parents?
I think to give voice to young people, to understand that they grew up in many cases, the first political memory was argument over Obama or McCain or Obama versus Romney and those sorts of tensions. So give voice and let them know it's okay to have a different set of values, a different opinion than you might have one, and continue to have that sort of conversation about the stresses that they see every day. And what young people tell us that they want is they want a social worker or a psychologist in every single school in America. They're raising their hands and they want to have these kinds of conversations. Get it off their chest and know that they're not alone, concerned about not just bullies on social media, body image, but also the state of our politics today.
Good stuff. John, thank you so very much.
Thank you.